Stop. Right now. Put down the noise for a second. The emails, the rehearsed smiles, the little rehearsed scripts you use to get through awkward meetings, and listen to one simple truth. Everything that happens to you in work and in life bends toward the quality of your communication. Not your degree, not your hustle, not your luck. How you show up in a sentence, in a pause, in the look that says either, "I see you," or "not interested," that's the lever. You already know this in your bones, even if you don't act like it. You felt it when a single sentence from the right person swung a door open for you. A job, a partnership, a relationship. You've also felt it when one careless phrase closed a door you didn't realize existed. That's not coincidence. That's cause and effect. Communication is an engine. Learn to fuel it right, and it will propel you farther than effort alone ever will. First, let's clear the ground. Communication is not just words. It's thought made audible. It's presence turned visible. It's what happens between what you say and what the other person hears. If you want power, real sustainable influence, you must master 3 simple hinges: clarity, listening, and integrity. Clarity is brutally practical. If you can't state what you want or what you think in a sentence that a reasonable person can repeat back, you don't have clarity, you have fog. Fog breeds assumptions, resentment, and wasted time. Sharp communication carves through confusion. Practice this. Before you say anything important, say it to yourself aloud once. Can you reduce it to one strong sentence? If not, refine. The world rewards people who can be understood quickly. Listening is where almost everyone cheats. You think you listen, you don't. You're waiting, planning, editing, rehearsing the perfect comeback. True listening is expensive attention. It's giving the other person enough space to be understood before you jump in to be heard. When you do this, 2 things happen. You learn faster, and people feel safer with you. Both are currencies of influence. The best communicators I've seen, and I've learned from giants who studied human behavior, treat listening as the primary work. Speak second, ask first. Integrity sits underneath both. If what you say doesn't line up with what you do, your words become a house of cards. People sense mismatch faster than they do your charm. Words without follow-through are rumors. Action confirms your voice. So when you promise, deliver. When you say you'll be honest, be prepared for the discomfort of truth. Integrity builds slowly and breaks faster than you think. Protect it. Now let's get tactical. There are 4 habits that, once adopted, will change how people respond to you. Habit 1. Start with the signal, not the story. People decide in the first 7 to 12 seconds whether you'll matter to them. That's brutal, but true. Your posture, your tone, the warmth in your eyes, these are the signal. If the signal says closing, people will stop listening before your best point. So train your opening. Be calm, upright, brief. Lead with relevance, why this matters to them. The rest of your message will land. Habit 2. Use short sentences and concrete verbs. Abstract language lets people drift. Concrete words pull attention and create mental pictures. Instead of saying, "We should improve our communication," say, "We will meet twice weekly to review priorities and decide 3 actions." See the difference? One sentence floats, the other creates pictures and therefore action. Habit 3. Ask fewer questions, but better ones. Most people ask shallow questions, the kind that produce predictable, uncommitted answers. Better questions are specific, time-bound, and invite ownership. Ask, "What will you do this week to move this forward?" rather than, "Thoughts?" The first provokes a plan. The second provokes a shrug. Habit 4. Watch the gap between intention and impact. Intention is what you mean. Impact is what the other person experiences. If you're honest and the other person is defensive, the impact matters more. Learn to name it. I realized that came across as criticism. My intention was to protect the team's timeline. That sentence does 3 things: disarms, clarifies, and recenters the conversation. Few people do this well. Do it, and you'll rise. Let's talk about voice. Not just what you say, but how your voice shapes meaning. Your vocal rhythm, pace, and pause are tools of persuasion. A softer voice can cut more than a shout. A well-placed pause gives people time to fill in the gaps and often lead them toward your conclusion. Think of your voice as punctuation in real life. Use it deliberately. And body language. Lean in when you want to connect. Lean back when you need space. Open hands say trust. Crossed arms say closed. Your face is a map of your attention. If you want to be taken seriously, make your face match your message. Don't smile through everything. That cheapens gravity. Earn your smiles with truth. There's a hidden muscle in communication that most people never train: the ability to be present under pressure. When stakes rise, most voices speed up, hands fidget, clarity collapses. Develop a pressure practice. Put yourself in small, uncomfortable conversations and practice staying calm. It's like lifting small weights so that when the situation gets heavy, you don't crumble. The calmer you are, the more authority you radiate. Calm is contagious. People anchor on it. Now, a quick and powerful truth about listening. Stop making advice your reflex. People want to be heard. Give them that first. If you must advise, ask permission. Would it help if I shared what I think? When you follow that protocol, your advice lands. When you don't, it sounds like an interruption. A short note on influence without manipulation. Influence is about creating clarity and choice, not about tricking people into what you want. That's where true leaders differ from charlatans. Use your communication to expand options, not to narrow them in secret. When people choose your idea because it resonates, not because they were coerced, you have won ethically and sustainably. Dale Carnegie taught us the power of genuine interest in other people. Use it as a compass, not a tactic. Before I end this part, hear me. The aim is not to be perfect. The aim is to be consistent and improving. The path of mastery is boring in its repetition. Practice one habit until it becomes automatic, then add another. Clarity first, listening second, integrity always. Do these 3 and watch the world rearrange itself around you. Now I want you to act. Right after this video, find one person you will speak to differently, not with more charm, but with one clear sentence, one intentional pause, and 10 seconds more listening than usual. Do that and report back. Write a comment below about the one communication habit you're committing to change this week. Be bold, be specific. The small, honest steps are the ones that lead to the big shifts. Question: what's one thing you've said recently that you wish you could take back, and why did you say it in the first place? Part 2. If Part 1 woke you up to the power of presence, this part will teach you how to make your presence speak with precision. You can be loud, charming, or clever, but none of that matters if your message is a fog. The real elite in communication are ruthless editors of their own speech. They trim, they sharpen, they remove every word that doesn't point forward. Your job right now is to become one of them. Start with your thinking. Clarity begins in the head. If your inner sentence is messy, the outer sentence will be worse. Train yourself to think in headlines. Before you speak, ask, what is the one idea I want this person to remember? Boil it down to a single short sentence. That's your headline. Everything you say after it supports that headline. When you polish your internal headline, your words gain weight. Here's a simple framework you can use anywhere: meetings, messages, hard conversations. State, why, ask, next. First, state the point in one line. Then give one sentence of why it matters to them. Then ask for a specific action or response. Finish with the next step and a time frame. That structure kills fog. It turns rambling into a roadmap. Try it in emails. Open with the headline, then 2 short bullets, then the ask. People will stop ghosting you. Words matter, but so do the verbs you pick. Verbs are the engine of action. Replace consider with decide, might with will, helpful with useful. Strong verbs produce movement. Vague verbs produce excuses. The habit of cushioning your language with hedges, I think, maybe, just wondering, drains energy from your message. Stop doing free emotional discounting. Speak with authority about what you know and admit quickly what you don't. Story is your secret weapon. Humans remember scenes, not lectures. If you need to land a point, tell a short, vivid story that shows the truth. Use the problem-action-result pattern. One line about the problem, what you did, and the clear outcome. A 3-sentence mini-story will beat a paragraph of abstract reasoning every time. Keep it short, keep it visual. You're not performing a novel, you're giving an anchor. Now let's talk about the container, nonverbal signals. Your body tells stories your words can't retract. When you speak with hands that retract into your chest, your words sound defensive. When your shoulders open and your feet are grounded, your words arrive as decisions. Eyes matter, not staring, but focused attention. Mirror subtly. Match the other person's pace and posture for a beat, then lead. Mirroring creates rapport. Leading creates direction. Use both. It's a little jujitsu of social chemistry. Voice is punctuation. A well-timed pause is worth more than 3 rushed sentences. Slow down when you expect them to think. Speed up to build excitement. Lower your pitch slightly on key points. People perceive lower pitches as more authoritative. Avoid monotone. It kills curiosity. And never, ever undercut an important sentence with a laugh or a smile that signals, "I didn't mean it." Let your voice own the truth you speak. There's a professional level move I want you to adopt. The 1-sentence opener and the 1-sentence closer. Begin with one strong sentence that tells people why they should care. End with one strong sentence that tells them what will happen next. Between these 2 anchors, you have permission to elaborate, but always return to the anchor. Practicing these anchors will give you discipline and save time. Beware of too much information. People confuse thoroughness with competence. The more you explain, the more you invite doubt. If your point requires 50 qualifiers, ask whether you're actually convinced yourself. Be decisive in language. Say what you think, and if you change your mind later, say so. But don't hedge your way through decisions. Decision language moves teams. Indecision language moves weight. When conflict appears, your words can either widen the gap or build the bridge. Use ownership language. I noticed, I felt, I observed, rather than accusatory, you always, you never. Ownership lowers defenses. Follow ownership with curiosity. What was your perspective? People inflame when they feel accused. They defuse when they feel heard. Your job as a communicator is to lower the temperature enough that real solutions can come through. Emails and written messages deserve a ritual. If you're about to send something that could affect a relationship, walk away for 10 minutes and then read it out loud. Reading aloud exposes tone that your eyes miss. If it sounds sharp, revise. If it sounds unclear, simplify. Titles are critical. The subject line is your permission slip to be read. Make it actionable and honest. Decision on Q3 partnership need your yes/no by Friday catches attention. Vague subject lines don't. Let's get practical with meetings. Most meetings are permission machines for poor communication. Fix the meeting with 3 rules. 1. Set a 3-sentence purpose at the top. 2. Assign roles. Who decides, who informs, who pilots. And 3. End with a 1-line outcome and next step with an owner and date. Meetings that follow this pattern produce momentum. Meetings that don't produce minutes of regret. There's a dangerous habit I see in ambitious people. They confuse charisma with substance and charm with clarity. Charisma opens doors. Clarity keeps them open. Move beyond performance. Be persuasive because you're useful, not because you're entertaining. Use your words to create value, not applause. Now, a skill that will make you indispensable. Translating complexity into direct choices. Your team or partner doesn't need a lecture on possibilities, they need a recommended choice and the consequences. Offer 2 or 3 options, your recommendation, and the impacts of each. That framework frees decision makers from the tyranny of endless possibilities. When you do this, people will start asking for your opinion because you save them time and reduce risk. A short but powerful exercise for you. For the next 5 conversations you have, meetings, calls, difficult chats, force yourself to open with the 1-sentence headline and close with 1-sentence next step. Keep count. After 5 times, you'll notice the room listening more, people responding more decisively, and outcomes arranging faster around you. Before I close this part, remember, the most persuasive people are not those who speak the most, they are those who make others feel understood and clear. Influence is not a monologue. It's a carefully directed conversation where you set the stage, offer clarity, and invite choice. Write a comment now about the single phrase or filler you will cut from your speech this week. Be specific. Name it. This small elimination will sharpen your voice. Question: what is the one honest truth about your communication that no one has told you, and are you ready to change it next? Part 3. You want influence? Good. Influence is not applause. Influence is the quiet power that makes people choose your idea because it feels like their idea, not because you forced it. If you want to be influential, you must trade showmanship for substance and charisma for credibility. Influence is built on 3 pillars: trust, clarity, and emotional intelligence. Nail those, and you don't have to chase attention. Attention finds you. Trust is the currency of every relationship. Without trust, your words are empty receipts. Trust is earned in tiny mercies and consistent competence. Show up on time. Keep promises small and keep them consistent. If you say you'll do something, do it. If you can't, say so early and propose a fix. Small failures that are owned and repaired create more trust than flawless performance that's hidden. Reputation compounds. One truthfully handled misstep increases trust more than 10 hidden successes ever will. Authenticity matters more than polish. People can smell the difference between practiced charm and real interest. Dale Carnegie said long ago that the secret of influence is genuine interest in other people. Don't fake it. Cultivate curiosity. Ask about people's struggles, not just wins. Listen with the intent to understand, not to reply. When you show that you care, you become rare, and rarity is magnetic. Empathy is not sympathy. Empathy is presence in the emotional weather of the other person. It's naming what you see without turning it into their fault. Use simple labeling. It sounds like you felt overlooked. That sentence alone lowers defenses and opens doors. Labeling is not psychoanalysis, it's social lubrication. It signals that you are tracking feelings, and feelings are what drive decisions slower than logic, but harder than facts. Influence without manipulation is an art. Create choices, don't pressure for answers. Frame your asks so people see benefits and costs clearly. Use the language of options. Here are 3 routes. A gives us speed, B gives us quality, C gives us lower risk. I recommend B because that structure respects autonomy and invites people to join, not to be dragged. People commit to what they choose. Now, let's talk about persuasion mechanics. There are ethical levers you can pull that get results and keep your integrity. First, social proof. Show examples of people or teams who chose similarly and the outcomes. Humans mirror successful patterns. Second, contrast. Present a worse alternative first, then your solution. The contrast makes your idea look smarter. Third, scarcity. Not fake urgency, but real constraints. If a resource is limited, state the limits. People respond to real trade-offs. Use these levers sparingly and honestly. Conflict is where influence is proven. If you can't handle conflict, you'll never lead beyond small things. Learn to dispute without being disagreeable. Start with agreement on the goal. We both want the project to succeed. That line aligns motion. Then state your difference briefly with ownership language. Offer 2 options that move the goal forward. Don't make the conflict about personality, make it tactical. When tempers heat, slow the conversation down. Name the emotion, pause, and breathe. The moment you tone down, the other person follows. People instinctively mirror regulation. Repair is a high-skill move. When you blow it, fix it fast. A good repair looks like this. Acknowledge the impact, take responsibility without excuses, and propose a concrete next step. I was harsh in that meeting. I see how that shut you down. I want to make sure your idea is heard. Will you present it first next time and I'll facilitate? That structure heals faster than any explanation. People want to be seen. Repairs let them be seen. Boundaries are a surprising friend to influence. When you set clear limits, people know what you value. Boundaries are not walls, they are gates that protect your voice. Say no without guilt when something does not align with your priorities. Say yes with clarity when you can commit. People respect those who can choose. Over-availability is weakness packaged as kindness. Let's get specific. How to build trust in 3 steps that you can start today. Step 1. Make one small promise and keep it every day for a week. It could be as simple as responding to messages within 24 hours or delivering a short progress update. Step 2. Begin meetings by asking one genuine question about someone's current priority and listening without interrupting. Step 3. Practice honest feedback in private and praise in public. This triad makes you predictable in the best way: reliable, attentive, and fair. Charisma is often misunderstood. It's not just charm, it's clarity of purpose and emotional availability combined. You can build it by practicing presence. When someone speaks to you, make them feel like the only person in the room. That's not magic, it's focus. Turn off distractions. Make eye contact long enough to signal attention. Use the person's name naturally. These small behaviors create a gravitational pull. There's a cognitive trick that will make your arguments land. Frame ideas as incremental commitments. Instead of asking for a big leap, request a small experiment. People resist big changes. They sign up for tests. Let's try this approach for 2 weeks and measure results is easier to accept than we should overhaul the system. Small wins create momentum and convert skeptics into allies. Language choices matter more than you think. Swap but for and to avoid negating the previous idea. I see your point, and here's a way to add to it, keeps the brain engaged instead of defensive. Use we to build ownership, but be careful not to dilute responsibility. We need to decide who will take this is good, we'll sort it out later is vague and dangerous. Now about credibility and reputation in the long run. You build it by cycles of visible competence and tiny ethical wins. Be transparent about constraints and transparent about progress. Leaders who hide problems are seductive short-term. They buy silence with illusion. But visibility builds long-term loyalty. Share what you know, what you don't, and how you plan to close the gaps. A crucial but overlooked skill, learning to disagree and commit. After debate, once a decision is made, commit to supporting it publicly, even if you argued against it privately. This creates unity and preserves your voice for future influence. If the decision fails, your credibility will be stronger because you played the team game and then held accountability for outcomes. Finally, practice this ritual. Each week, pick one person whose trust you want to grow. A teammate, a partner, a friend. Do 3 small things for them without asking for anything back. A precise compliment that names behavior, a quick helpful note, and 1 concrete offer of support. Trust compounds. Do this for months and watch alliances form naturally. Now act. Pick one relationship where trust is low and commit to 1 repair move this week. It can be a direct apology, a clarity conversation, or a small promise kept. Do it deliberately. Influence without trust is temporary. Influence with trust is durable. Write a comment right now describing the 1 relationship you will invest in this week and the single action you will take. Be blunt and specific. Question: what's the hardest truth you've ever had to speak to someone, and how did they respond? Part 4. You're now in the part where words meet outcomes, where conversations turn into deals, where meetings turn into momentum, and where your ability to communicate at work will determine whether you build something that lasts or just another email thread that dies. This is the practice field. If you want results, stop treating communication like art and start treating it like a system. Systems scale. Talent doesn't always. Here's the rule nobody tells you straight. People don't resist change, they resist being moved without a map. Your job in any professional conversation is to provide the map. Whether you're negotiating a raise, convincing a client, or aligning your team, your first priority is to make the path forward obvious and manageable. Break big asks into small commitments. Lead with impact, not intention. Show the consequence of action and the cost of doing nothing. Humans are wired to move away from pain and toward clear gain. Show both. Negotiation is a craft, not a contest. Too many people enter negotiations with a gladiator mindset. Win at all costs. That's short-term thinking. Negotiation at its best is about value creation and relationships. Start by anchoring with clarity. State what you want in a single line. Then ask a question that uncovers the other side's constraints. Listen more than you speak. If you discover their limit, you've found leverage, not to exploit, but to collaborate. Propose options that expand the pie. If we can adapt X, I can adjust Y. Give them dignity in the choice. Carnegie and thinkers like Hill simplified success down to purpose and rapport. Negotiation is the practical intersection of both. A negotiation framework that works. Identify BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement, and their likely BATNA. Then propose a clear option set. A, fast, expensive. B, balanced. C, slow, cheap. Recommend one and explain the trade-offs. People hate being ambushed with complexity. They love confident guidance. Be the person who reduces cognitive load for decision makers. That's how deals get done. Now, leadership through words and actions. Leadership is less about speeches and more about the rhythm you set. You set the tempo by how you communicate expectations, how you give feedback, and how you respond when things go wrong. There's a brutal truth. Vague praise and vague criticism are both useless. If you want different results, describe the behavior you want, the measure of progress, and the timeline. Don't say, "Good job." Say, "Closing the sprint backlog by Wednesday without raising defects will get us the client approval." Can you own that? That sentence creates responsibility and signals what success looks like. Feedback is a management superpower when done right. Most feedback is either withheld, fear, or weaponized, ego. Neither works. Use a simple structure: observation, impact, request. I noticed the proposal missed the competitor analysis. It made the client unsure. Can you add a one-page comparison by Friday? Direct, kind, and anchored in results. Practice feedback in private and recognition in public. That combination builds psychological safety and fuels performance. One-on-ones are gold. If you reduce them to status reports, you waste them. Make one-on-ones about the person's progress, obstacles, and growth. Ask, "What's blocking you?" more than, "What did you do?" Your job is to remove obstacles, not to compile updates. The minute you support someone's obstacles, they will support your outcomes. That's leverage. Delegation is a test of trust and a multiplier of results. Delegation fails when you hand off tasks without clarity. Don't delegate tasks, delegate outcomes. Define the expected result, the constraints, the resources available, and the decision boundaries. Name who must be informed and who decides if a change is needed. If you give people autonomy without boundaries, they'll flail. If you give boundaries without autonomy, they'll disengage. Give both. Storytelling at work is underrated. Data convinces, story converts. When you want buy-in, craft a short narrative. What's the problem? Who's affected? What's the proposed change? And what victory looks like in 6 weeks. Use a human detail to make it sticky. People forget charts. They remember images. You're not performing. You're translating complexity into human terms. That's how strategy becomes movement. Email and messaging deserve ruthless discipline. Most inboxes are chaos because senders are lazy with subject lines and asks. A great message is 3 lines: headline, 1-sentence context, explicit ask with owner and date. If your message requires more than this, add a short bullet list. End with the next step. People will reward you with replies because you made their job easier. If you want to be taken seriously, treat your written words like a promise. Meetings are time currency. Don't spend other people's time unless your meeting has a return. For every meeting, set a 90-second purpose up front. Define the decision to be made and close with next steps and owners. If the goal is simply to align, ask whether alignment can be asynchronous. Replace ritual with result. Teams that do this increase output without adding hours. Crisis communication is the acid test. When things go sideways, clarity beats comfort. In a crisis, name what happened, what you're doing right now, and when you'll give the next update. Silence is not neutrality, it's suspicion. Be first and honest. If you don't have the answer, say when you will have one. People forgive lack of certainty if you show a plan. People forgive lack of certainty if you show a plan. Culture lives in the micro habits you reinforce with words. Celebrate process wins, not just outcomes. Call out behaviors that show initiative, curiosity, and ownership. When you model curiosity instead of certainty, you make learning safe. Encourage experiments with short time boxes and metrics. When experiments fail, extract the lesson publicly and move on. That's the language of growth. Avoid these common mistakes that kill workplace communication. Overloading people with context they don't need, hiding bad news, using jargon to impress, and rescuing instead of empowering. Each of these creates dependency or mistrust. Replace jargon with plain language. Replace silence with timely updates. Replace rescues with coaching questions. A practical leadership exercise. For the next week, run every meeting with a written one-sentence purpose and finish each meeting asking, who owns what by when? Send a short recap within 30 minutes with the single-line decisions and owners. If you do this consistently, you will cut follow-up ambiguity in half and accelerate execution. You're not invisible in your organization. Your patterns are obvious to those who work with you. Change the pattern. Be the person who makes decisions easier, who reduces ambiguity, and who appreciates people by name and by contribution. Great leaders are remembered not for being right, but for being steady, clear, and fair. Now, do one concrete thing. Pick one recurring meeting or one person where communication is poor and redesign that interaction using the frameworks you've learned. Headline, context, ask, next. One sentence opener and closer, clear owner and date. Execute it and measure whether things moved faster. Write a comment below about the one meeting or relationship at work you'll redesign this week, and the single change you'll make. Be specific. Name the meeting, the change, and the date you'll implement it. Question: when was the last time you told your team the ugly truth about a problem, and what happened after you did? Part 5. This is the part where what you've learned becomes how you live. Communication in work taught you to move projects forward. Communication in life teaches you to move hearts, to build a home, to hold a family, to leave a legacy. It's quieter, often harder, and infinitely more rewarding. If you can speak clearly to those closest to you, you will live a life with fewer regrets and deeper connections. Start by treating your closest relationships like high-value conversations. They deserve the discipline you've given to your career. First, the sacred skill of saying what matters. People confuse honesty with harshness. They hide behind, "I'm just being honest," as if bluntness is a virtue. The truth is this: honesty without care is cruelty. Use the ownership language you've practiced. I felt, I noticed, I want. That construction keeps dignity intact and opens a door. When you name your experience and then request a change, you give the other person both respect and direction. Try this. When something annoys you, practice speaking about the specific behavior, not the person's identity. When you leave dishes, I feel unseen. Can we agree on a quick cleanup routine? Concrete, small, fixable. Listening at home becomes love when you use presence as a practice. Put away your phone for 5 minutes at least once a day and ask one real question. What's been the hardest part of your day? Then stop planning your response. Breathe. Track their emotions. Reflect back what you heard. It's a small investment with huge returns. The person who feels heard will close gaps you didn't even know existed. Conflict in relationships is inevitable. The only question is whether it destroys or strengthens you. Use the repair language immediately. If something escalates, don't let pride sit on the couch between you. Say, "I want to fix this. I was wrong about X, and I see how that hurt you. Repairs are not admissions of weakness, they're admissions of care. When you repair quickly and specifically, you build a bank of goodwill that covers future mistakes. Boundaries with loved ones are love too. Saying no to one request often says yes to the other person's long-term health. For instance, if you need rest to show up as a good partner or parent, set the boundary. I can't do late calls during family dinner. Let's find a time after. Boundaries are not punishments. They're frameworks that allow people to reliably know who you are. People trust boundaries because they predict behavior. Vulnerability is powerful, but it's earned. Don't unload your entire inner world in a blast of oversharing and then expect intimacy. Share in layers. Start with a small disclosure that invites reciprocity, like, I've been anxious about my work lately. I'm trying to be more present here. Can I ask for your help? That opens a conversation. It doesn't demand therapy. Vulnerability practiced like this creates safety and deepens connection. Rituals create continuity. Couple routines, family meetings, monthly check-ins with friends, these are the scaffolding of long-term relationships. They're not romantic because they're perfect. They're powerful because they're consistent. Choose one ritual this month: a weekly walk with your partner, a Sunday call with a parent, or a monthly lunch with a friend. Rituals convert intention into habit, and habit builds reliability, which is love in action. Communication with parents, children, and aging relatives requires translation and patience. Meet them where they are. With parents, listen for the story they keep retelling. Often it's not the facts that matter, but the need to be seen. With children, make your language simple and sincere. Children respond to explanations that respect their agency. With elders, slow your pace, mirror their dignity, and ask questions that let them teach you. You will be shocked by how much wisdom comes when you simply ask. Inner circle matters too. Your closest 5 people influence your identity more than you like to admit. If you want to grow, build a circle that challenges you and holds you accountable. If you want to rest, build a circle that nourishes you. Communicate your needs to your circle. Tell them what you want from them and what you do not. People are remarkably willing to be helpful when asked plainly. Handling endings respectfully is a skill too. Whether it's a breakup, a friendship drift, or changing neighborhoods, endings deserve clarity. Avoid ghosting and the slow fade. Give the other person a clear sentence: why this is ending, what you learned, and what you wish for them next. It's not easy, but it's humane, and it preserves your integrity. Teach what you believe by example. If you want to normalize healthy communication, model it publicly in your home and your circle. Apologize when you err. Praise specifically. Ask for help without drama. These small acts teach others how to behave around you. People mimic patterns more than lectures. Be the pattern you want to spread. There's a larger point here. Your inner voice is also part of your communication system. How you speak to yourself frames how you speak to others. If your inner dialogue is harsh, your outer dialogue will carry that tone. Practice self-talk that is direct and constructive. Treat yourself like someone you're coaching, not someone you're condemning. That shift changes the quality of your conversations with everyone. A practical life exercise. Each day for the next week, pick one relationship and do 3 things. 1. Say one specific appreciation. 2. Ask one curious question and listen without interrupting. And 3. Offer one small help without being asked. Track what changes. Small, consistent acts beat grand gestures every time. Legacy matters. Communication is how you transmit values. The stories you tell about yourself and your family will be the architecture of what comes after you. Tell stories that honor effort, kindness, resilience, and curiosity. The stories you repeat teach the next generation what to prioritize. As you close this series, remember that communication is both tool and mirror. It changes the world and reveals what's already inside you. Use it to create a life that matches the person you want to be. Write a comment now about the single relationship in your life you will invest in this month and list the 3 small actions you will take. Be specific, be bold. Question: what is one truth you've been avoiding saying to someone you love, and do you have the courage to say it next? If this series helped you and you want more practical, no-fluff tools for growth, subscribe and hit like. I'll keep bringing the frameworks that actually move things forward.